Reading through the Bible in 1 year, January 7th, Genesis 8:1 through 9:17, Ezra 6:13 through 7:28, Matthew 7, and Acts 6, 1:7 through 15. But God remembered Noah and all the beasts and the livestock that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind blow over the earth, and the waters subsided, and the fountains of the deep and the windows of the heavens were closed. The rain from the heavens was restrained, and the waters receded from the earth continually. At the end of 150 days, the waters had abated. In the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Not Mount Ararat, the mountains of Ararat, so in that region. And the waters continued to abate until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. At the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ark that he had made and sent forth a raven, and it went to and fro until the waters were dried up from the earth. Then he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters had subsided from the face of the ground. But the dove found no place to set her foot. She returned to the ark, for the waters were still on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took her and brought her into the ark with him. He waited another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came back to him in the evening, and behold, in her mouth was a freshly plucked olive leaf. So Noah knew that the waters had subsided from the earth. Then he waited another 7 days and sent forth a dove, and she did not return to him any more. In the 601st year, in the first month, on the first day of the month, the waters were dried from off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. In the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth had dried out. Then God said to Noah, "Go out from the ark, you and your wife, and your sons wives with you. Bring out with you every living thing that is with you of all flesh, birds and animals, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, that they may swarm on the earth and be fruitful, multiply on the earth." So Noah went out, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every bird, everything that moves on the earth went out by the families from the ark. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird, and offered burnt offering on the altar. And when the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma, the Lord said in his heart, "I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever again strike down every living creature as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease." And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast of the earth, and upon every bird of the heavens, upon everything that creeps on the ground, and all the fish of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. And as I gave you the green plants, I give you everything, but you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is its blood. And for your lifeblood I will require a reckoning. From every beast I will require it, and from every man. From his fellow man I will require a reckoning from the life of man. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For God made man, there we go, in his own image." That was totally backwards. So again, here, I have a rainbow avatar that I put up from time to time, and it says, "I support the Noahic covenant. I like meat. I am a meatitarian." So I am 100% on board with this. Granted, I'm 100% on board with whatever God does, because God is God and I'm not, clearly. That said, yeah, I like meat, and I'm grateful for this covenant. because it allows us to eat meat. And you, be fruitful and multiply, increase greatly on the earth and multiply it. Then God said to Noah and his sons with him, Behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your offspring after you, with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the livestock, and every beast of the earth with you. As many as came out of the ark, it is for every beast of the earth. I will establish my covenant with you, that never again shall all flesh be cut off by waters of the flood, and never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, This is the sign of the covenant that I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all future generations. I have set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. When I bring clouds over the earth and the bow is seen in the clouds, I will remember my covenant that is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. When the bow is in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all of all flesh that is on the earth. God said to Noah, This is the sign of the covenant that I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth. All right. Let's go to Ezra. Then, according to the word sent by Darius the king, Tatnai the governor of the province beyond the river, Shethar, Bozani, and all the associates did with all diligence what Darius the king had ordered. The elders of the Jews built and prospered through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Iddo. They finished their building by decree of the God of Israel, and by decree of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes king of Persia. And this house was finished on the 3rd day of the month of Adar, in the 6th year of the reign of Darius the king. And the people of Israel, the Levites, the priests, and the rest of the returned exiles celebrated the dedication of this house of God with joy. They offered at the dedication of this house of God 100 bulls, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and as a sin offering for all Israel, 12 male goats, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. And they set the priests in their divisions and Levites in their divisions for the service of God at Jerusalem, as it is written in the book of Moses. On the 14th day of the month, the returned exiles kept the Passover. For the priests and the Levites had purified themselves, all of them were clean. So they slaughtered the Passover lamb for all the returned exiles, for all their fellow priests, and for themselves. And it was eaten by the people of Israel who had returned from exile. Also by everyone who had joined them and separated himself from the uncleanness of the peoples of the land to worship the Lord, the God of Israel. And they kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with joy, for the Lord had made them joyful, and had turned the heart of the king of Assyria to them, so that he aided them in the work of the house of God, the God of Israel. Now, after this, in the reign of Artaxerxes, king of Persia, Ezra the son of Son of Azariah, son of Hilkiah, son of Shallum, son of Zadok, son of Ahitub, son of Amariah, son of Azariah, son of Mariah, son of Zerahiah, son of Uzi, son of Buki, son of Abishua, son of Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the chief priest. This Ezra went up from Babylonia. He was a scribe, skilled in the law of Moses that the Lord, the God of Israel, had given, and the king granted him all that he asked. This is the Ezra for which the book is called. For the hand of the Lord his God was on him. And there went up also to Jerusalem in the 7th year of Artaxerxes the king some of the people of Israel, and some of the priests and the Levites and the singers and the gatekeepers and temple servants. And Ezra came to Jerusalem in the 5th month, which is in the 7th year of the king. For on the 1st day of the 1st month he began to go up from Babylonia, and on the 1st day of the 5th month he came to Jerusalem, for the good hand of his God was on him. For Ezra had set his heart to study the law of the Lord and to do it, and to teach his statutes and rules in Israel. This is a copy of the letter that King Artaxerxes gave to Ezra the priest, the scribe, a man learned in the matters of the commandments of the Lord, and his statutes for Israel. Artaxerxes, King of Kings, to Ezra the priest, the scribe of the um, law of the God of heaven, peace. And now I make a decree that anyone of the people of Israel, or the priests or Levites of my kingdom, who freely offers to go to Jerusalem, may go with you. For you are sent by the king and his 7 counselors to make inquiries about Judah and Jerusalem according to the law of your God, which is in your hand, and to also carry the silver and the gold that the king and his counselors have freely offered to the God of Israel, whose dwelling is in Jerusalem. With all the silver and the gold that the king and his counselors, I missed that spot. With all the silver and the gold that you shall find in the whole province of Babylonia, and with the freewill offerings of the people and the priests, vowed willingly for the house of their God that is in Jerusalem. With this money, then, you shall, with all diligence, buy bulls and rams, and with their grain offerings and their drink offerings, and you shall offer them on the altar of the house of your God that is in Jerusalem. Whatever seems good to you and your brothers to do, with the rest of the silver and gold, you may do according to the will of your God. The vessels that have been given to you for the service of the house of your God, you shall deliver before God, the God of Jerusalem. And whatever else is required for the house of your God, which it falls to you to provide, you may provide it out of the king's treasury. And I, Artaxerxes the king, make a decree to all the treasurers in the province beyond the river. Whatever Ezra the priest, the scribe of the law of the God of heaven, requires of you, let it be done with all diligence, up to 100 talents of silver, 100 cores of wheat, 100 baths of wine, 100 baths of oil, and salt, without prescribing how much. Whatever is decreed by the God of heaven, let it be done in full for the house of the God of heaven, lest his wrath be against the realm of the king and his sons. We also notify you that it shall not be lawful to impose tribute, custom, or toll on any one of the priests, the Levites, the singers, the doorkeepers, the temple servants, or any other servants of this house of God. And you, Ezra, according to the wisdom of your God that is in your hand, appoint magistrates and judges who may judge all the people in the province beyond the river. And all such know the laws of your God. All such as know the laws of your God. There we go. And those who do not know them, you shall teach. And whoever does not obey the law of your God and the law of the king, let judgment be strictly executed on him, whether for death or for banishment, or for confiscation of his goods, or for imprisonment. Blessed be the Lord, the God of our fathers, who put such a thing into the heart of this king, to beautify the house of the Lord that is in Jerusalem, and who extended to me his steadfast love before the king and his counselors, and before all the king's mighty officers. I took courage, for the hand of the Lord my God was on me, and I gathered leading men from Israel to go up with me. Matthew 7. All right, so now this is finishing out the Sermon on the Mount. At the end of this chapter, we actually finish the whole, not really pericope, but we finish this discussion. That's a better way to put it. This one's on judging rightly. There's a lot of confusion on this. Atheists will jump to this one as quickly as they can. Basically, we're not saying not to judge people. We're saying judge with right judgment. That's what Jesus is saying here. Let's go through it. Judge not, that you be not judged. For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. See, there's that right judgment. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye when there is a log in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye. Then you will be able to see clearly and take the speck out of your brother's eye. Do not give dogs what is holy, and do not throw your pearls before pigs, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you. Now, this point, basically what it's saying is that, well, let's do different things. First, We are to judge, especially those who are in the church. We don't judge people who are outside the church because that's up to God to judge. He's the one who handles them. But inside the church, we judge those who are within the family, right? Not like a negative, like, oh, I don't like so-and-so, whatever. The judging that we provide is determining how to best help people through the stuff that they're going through, and determining whether or not somebody is truly in the family of God. Because there are a lot of pretenders, a lot of people who are false converts, who may have said a prayer, raised their hand at some rally, or whatever you want to call it, and who think that they're in the family of God, but really and truly they're not. It's nothing negative. It just happens to be the way. They are excluded from the family of God because they never were part of the family of God to begin with. They're just along for the emotional ride, and that's it. So it's on us to carefully determine those who are in the family of God, because we have to make good decisions on the people that we allow to, say, be elders within our church, or deacons, what have you. That's why there are so many classifications for elders and deacons and other people in the church. For those who are not converts, it's on us to spread the gospel, to tell them the truth, to reveal to them who Christ is, to be God in the flesh to them, so that they can see the church both doctrinally and visibly. That's what we do. All right, continuing on. Oh, and the do not give to dogs what is holy. I use this a lot when I'm witnessing. When people that I'm witnessing to are, I can tell that they're just baiting me, right? They don't care about anything that I have to say. I don't bother. I really don't bother. I don't give them any more information than I have to. I'll cut it off early if I need to. I can understand that they are literally just mocking what I have to say. I don't have to. I don't even have to give them the gospel. I don't. Because if they don't care, when I give them the gospel, when I tell them the good news about Christ and what he's done, I'm actually heaping more judgment on them, because then they can't say that they didn't know, but I'm making it worse for them. So absolutely, I will help them to understand their own sin and understand where they stand before Christ. But if when I ask them, they say that they don't care, or when I say, is this something that bothers you? And they say, no, I don't care. Whatever, I'm going to live my life however I want. I don't even bother giving the gospel. That's where this is. Also, when you're talking to somebody who's an atheist, or usually is an angry atheist who are just trying to pick fights, don't even bother. Just walk away. You're not judging them. It's God who judges them. And we just allow him to do whatever he's going to do, because he is the one who has to change their heart. He has to enter their heart, remove their heart of stone, put in a heart of flesh, and then when he's done that, then they're going to become soft to the gospel, and then they'll be willing to actually engage you in conversation. All right, continuing on. So ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks, it will be opened. Or which one of you, when his son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, we'll give him a serpent. If you then, who are evil, again, he's talking to the disciples, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? So whatever you wish that others would do for you, do also for them. This is the law and the prophets. Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and easy. So the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter by it are many. The gate is narrow, and the way is hard that leads to life. Those who find it are few. Anybody who tells you Christian life is easy, either they don't know it or they're lying to you. There's a lot of struggles that come with it. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but are inwardly ravenous wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? So every healthy tree bears good fruit, but the diseased tree bears bad fruit. A healthy tree cannot bear good fruit. Sorry, a healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit. There we go. Nor can a diseased tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus you will recognize them by their fruits. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do many mighty works in your name? Then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. This goes back to the judging thing above. There are a lot of people who will call Jesus their Lord, but you can call him your Lord all you want. It comes down to the fruits. It comes down to what you do with your life. This isn't, again, work salvation. If somebody is truly converted, they will, by default, reach out to God. They will, out of their converted heart, seek to serve God. They will want to learn the Bible. They will want to learn where they fit in this relationship, not only with God, but also with the world and with other Christians. They will have a strong desire to learn and see these things and grow, and they will help others automatically. That's the mark of somebody who's a Christian. Not just somebody who calls Jesus Lord, Lord, or goes to church every Sunday and, follows along and, make sure to give their tithe, but, their heart is holy and changed. Those people aren't saved at all. Sadly, many of our pews in churches are filled with these people. Continuing on. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand, and the rain fell and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. When Jesus finished these things, the crowds were astonished at his teaching, for he was teaching them as one who had authority, not as their scribes. And this finishes the Sermon on the Mount. Now for Acts. All right. Now in these days, when the disciples were increasing in number, a complaint by the Hellenists arose against the Hebrews because their widows were being neglected in the daily distribution. The Hellenists are... what's a good way to put this? They were Jews who were also Greek. So, it's a nice way to put this. In Harry Potter parlance, they were dirty mudbloods. So, the Jews decided that they really didn't have to help these people because they weren't pure Jews. So, and the 12 summoned the full number of the disciples and said, "It is not right that we should give up preaching the word of God to serve tables. Therefore, brothers," so the Christians saw this. They saw the problem that was happening because of these Jews and because they were neglecting the poor. These are often widows who didn't have the ability to work in society. They typically didn't have a husband to take care of them, and they also didn't have children who would take care of them. Or maybe their children didn't have the ability to take care of them for whatever other reason that there is. So these elderly women didn't have anyone to take care of their needs, and they were the Jewish population was refusing to give them food, was refusing to take care of them, which was the way that it was supposed to happen within the church. So they saw this, and then they immediately recognized we need to do something about this. But they also said that it is not right that we should give up preaching the word of God to serve tables, is what the apostles said. Therefore, brothers, pick out from you 7 among you, men of good repute, full of the Spirit and wisdom, whom we will appoint to this duty. But we will devote ourselves to prayer and to the ministry of the word. What they said pleased the whole gathering, and they chose Stephen, a man full of faith and of the Holy Spirit, and Philip, and Prochorus, and Nicanor, and Timon, and Parmenas, and Nicholas, a proselyte of Antioch. And these they set before the apostles, and they prayed and laid their hands on them. And the word of God continued to increase, and the number of the disciples multiplied greatly in Jerusalem. And a great many of the priests became obedient to the faith. And Stephen, full of grace and power, was doing great wonders and signs among the people. Then some of those who belonged to the synagogue of the freedmen, as it was called, and of the Cyrenians, and of the Alexandrians, and those of Cilicia and Asia, rose up and disputed with Stephen. But they could not withstand the wisdom and the spirit that he was speaking. And they secretly instigated men who said, "We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and God." And they stirred up the people, and the elders and scribes, and they came upon him and seized him and brought him before the council. And they set up false witnesses who said, "This man never ceases to speak words against this holy place and the law. For we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth will destroy this place, will change the customs that Moses delivered to us." And gazing at him, all who sat in the council saw that his face was like the face of an angel. And the high priest said, "Are these things so?" Kind of sad that this reading plan stops where it does. That said, we're going to go ahead and finish it out where it says. Just know that this is kind of stopping in the middle. You know what? Never mind. I'm just going to go through and read the whole thing. This is a great section, but it's long. I don't really have time for this. All right. I'll stop here, but tomorrow I'll roll back and we'll go through the whole thing. So instead of stopping where I said I was going to stop, we're going to go ahead and stop here because this is a great speech. It needs to be read all in one setting. So we'll go ahead and do that. That said, behold, the word of the Lord.